Drama City Productions presents
Conversations with Paycheck and Red, a weekly podcast with two good old boys talking about anything and everything that crosses their mind. You may not know what you're going to get with an episode of Paycheck and Red, but you sure know you don't want to miss it. So do what you got to do. Download the app, find the episodes online, and make sure that you don't miss 1 second of Conversations with Paycheck and Red.
Yeah, but you got your Adidas tracksuit on though, don't you? My man's fixing to break dance at any moment.
Yeah, I even went as far as putting my unlaced Adidas on tonight.
Oh yeah? You got Adidas pants on?
No, man, I ain't got no fucking tracksuit on. It's just a fucking hoodie.
Yeah. All right, ready?
Waiting on you, man.
All right, here we go. 3, 2, 1. What's up, y'all? Welcome back. This is Conversations with Paycheck and Red. I'm Paycheck, and as always, I'm with my boy Red.
What's up, party people? Today's episode is brought to you by Drama City Productions, the new home of Conversations with Paycheck and Red. Make sure to stop by dramacityproductions.com and check out all those other podcasts that the network has to offer. There's a lot of good shit over there, so dramacityproductions.com.
The new home.
The new home.
So what's up with you? How was your week?
Oh man, we had Christmas this week.
Yeah. Did Santa come by there?
Yeah, Santa stopped by and dropped off a little bit of shit.
Yeah, what'd you get?
Oh, the normal adult Christmas presents, you know, socks, underwear.
You probably got tidy whities, didn't you?
No, I did give me some Superman underoos though. I'm pretty proud of those.
You seem like a no shirt, tidy whities and socks kind of guy.
I've been known to do that.
but not white ones, kind of like the off-white because they're old and.
Yeah, the dingy ones with the hole in the ball area right there. Yeah, I got some of those.
So Christmas went well for the kids, for the family, and everybody. Everybody had a good time.
Oh yeah, man! I got to see my mom and my sister over the holidays, and just family and presents and food, and I've had to pop a couple holes in my belt because they eat too much and all that kind of shit. You know how it goes.
Yeah, we hosted Christmas dinner for the first time ever at our house.
How'd that go?
Went great. She did good. She cooked very well. Her sister was here, helped out. It was a big deal, man, having the parents over at our house for Thanksgiving as opposed to
Christmas.
Christmas, as opposed to us going over there all the time. You know, all these years.
That's a pivotal moment in adulthood, is it not?
So much so that my dad teared up a little bit.
Right? Hell yeah. Well deserved.
He said, this moment right here, you know, having your son host Christmas dinner is a sign that you've succeeded as a parent.
Right.
And I can see that, I guess so. You know what I mean? Because honestly, Christmas in itself is expensive, but then when you add Christmas dinner on top of that, the turkeys and all the fixings, and you know what I mean? Yep. So we had 12, 13, 14 people here, I believe, something like that.
Dude, I went to my cousin's house in Virginia for Christmas over the weekend of Christmas before, and there were, I think the head count was like 45 or 50 fucking people, man.
Yeah, so you had your little bodysuit on.
Imagine cooking food for that many fucking people.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got me a little deranged Easter Bunny Christmas story outfit for Christmas.
Yeah, I was a little bummed, man, because we got rid of cable. I couldn't find the Christmas story. Netflix, Hulu, Sling, YouTube, none of them had it on.
Dude, I had to go online and stream it because I don't have Dish or cable or anything either. We live on Netflix and Hulu also. And I had to wind up just going online and like free streaming it off of a website or something just to be able to watch it.
Yeah. I wish I'd have been that smart.
But yeah, all in all, holidays were good. Looking forward to New Year's and a new year. You realize this is the last podcast that we're going to do in 2018.
Yep. Dude, this has been a good year for us.
It has.
2018's been a good year.
It has. As far as the podcast goes, I mean, personal life, my 2018's been kind of fucky, but...
Really?
Well, I mean...
You got that new job?
Well, I'm talking about like this whole moving and...
Wedding.
Yeah, I got to see y'all. I mean, it was a good year, but the tail end of it's been kind of fucked up.
Yeah, the tail end of it has been a little rough.
Yeah. But we are creeping up on like 5,000 downloads since April. We're only a few hundred shy of that. We changed hosting websites that shows us where people are listening, and we got people listening from all over the place, man. We
Sweden.
picked up
What's up, Sweden? Shout out. So listen, real quick. If you are listening to us from Sweden right now, we need to know, are you Swedish and you're listening to us from Sweden? Or are you an American soldier who is stationed in Sweden and listening to us?
Right. Either way, either one is cool as shit. But you know.
Yeah, we don't care which is which. Red and I were talking, and we were thinking that it was cool that we had somebody from Sweden watching. But I'd like to know how you're watching.
Listening, not watching. This is not a television show.
Well, we're on YouTube also, so they could be watching on YouTube.
Could be. Yeah,
So, as a lot of you may have heard or can see, we have a special guest with us today. We have my wife, Jackie, as a special guest for this episode. Red, you want to tell them what we're going to be talking about?
First off, hi Jackie, it's nice to see you.
Hi.
Yeah, we're going to be we're going to let Jackie have the floor for a little while and let her tell us her story that she has. How she went back and forth from shelters and group homes and homelessness and all that kind of stuff, and kind of tell us her story and how she struggled out of it, became the strong woman she is today.
So, real quick, as Red mentioned, I wanted to do this, and I asked Jackie if she would do this because she has a very interesting story. We often hear stories of foster care and quote unquote the system, the judicial system and how it works. But this topic is going to cover so many different variables: parenting, drugs, the judicial system, foster care, how an individual copes then and now. And a good example is we all know people who live off the state and they say, well, it's because of this and, you know, or whatever. But then you have some people like Jackie who refuses to let her past dictate who she's going to be today. You see what I'm saying? So this is super interesting to me. So this is going to be Jackie's first time doing this with us. She's a little nervous. So we're going to try to guide her. We're going to ask questions because we have an idea on the direction and the tempo and the flow that we want this to go. So y'all just bear with us, and we're going to attempt to let her tell her story while Red and I ask inappropriate random questions. Because that's what we do at Conversations with Paycheck and Red. We push the envelope. We... What is the other one? Jump over things?
Jump over things and we push envelopes, yes.
Yeah.
All while doing it inappropriately.
All right, so real quick. So we're going to try to stick to a timeline. So let's start from the very beginning. Your name is Jackie, and you were born as the oldest?
I'm the oldest girl.
Okay, speak up.
I'm the oldest girl.
Okay, so you're the oldest out of how many?
6.
Okay, so without going into too much detail, let's just skip to. So she had 6 siblings. One Two passed early, very early.
And then one passed when he was 25. He's drinking and driving. And then, so that left me being the oldest, a brother and a sister.
Okay, so 3 kids. No dad in the picture for the most part.
No.
Only mom.
Yes.
But mom was a good mom for up until what age would you say you were when everything changed?
It gradually changed over the years.
Okay, but at what age did your whole life change?
Around 6.
Okay. 6 years old as a young child. Okay, so break it down for me real quick. So just your mom was not married. So let's take it back to no guy in the house, just your mom.
For a while. Not at first. My dad that raised us was around till I was probably about 5. He moved back to Georgia and was killed. And then that's kind of where my mom turned then. So around 5 or 6 is when things kind of started turning from okay. My mom was a partier from the beginning. So, but it really changed and took a turn for the worse around 5 or 6.
Around 5 or 6.
So it was because of, is your dad, your stepdad?
He raised me as far as I knew till I was 12. He was my dad.
So it was because of his death is what made her go downhill.
Yeah, I think so. But she's always had a problem with drugs.
Okay, so wait. So when you talk about a problem with drugs, so now think about the time period. So from the conversations that her and I had, she was your stereotypical 70s, 80s, Southern country / biker / trailer park.
Not trailer park.
I know, but I'm just trying to give the,
Paycheck's painting a picture here.
Yeah. So from the conversations that you and I have had, she was a somewhat decent mom up until you were 5.
Yeah.
So you were fed, you were clothed, and you had somewhere to live, and she loved you.
Yes.
Okay, so all of a sudden, things changed.
Yeah.
So how did things change? Drugs?
Yes.
Okay, so explain that. So I'm assuming she wasn't there. She chose drugs over y'all.
Yeah, she
Tell a little story about the whole drug phase when you were young.
She like I said, she's always been a little bit on the wild side. That's just who she was. So drugs are common in our house. Around 5 or 6 is when she started messing around with crack. So it was the type of guys she was hanging out with that would stay at the house. She would leave for weeks at a time, for days. So it was pretty much me, my sister, and brother always. So,
okay, so
how old were the sister and brother at this time?
Good question.
I was 6, so my brother's 5, my sister's 3. Because I actually there are pictures of me at feeding my sister in her crib. That's how it worked. So.
Okay, so you're 6 and you have 2 younger siblings, one male, one female. So at this age, at the beginning of the whole drug, that when the shit hit the fan, she's bringing random dudes, crackheads, over to her house with a 6-year-old daughter, 5-year-old, and a 4-year-old. So think about that for a second. These are unstable people in a household full of kids.
And that was a normal thing, right? That was something that happened.
Oh yeah, that was normal. So we didn't look at it as something being bad or something wrong. Right. We just always had a lot of people at our house, and we were always, go to your room and play. And of course, kids being kids, come out, always have an excuse to come out of their room.
Oh,
and
yeah.
so we did that, you know, so I picked up real quick on when I could come out of my room and when I couldn't, who was shady, who wasn't. I mean, that was just me and the type of lifestyle that we lived. And I knew I had a brother and sister, and she was hosting and I was playing mom. So
Right.
that was just the norm in our house.
At 6 years old.
Yes.
So tell them about some different incidences when you came home from school and she was at home.
She was kind of mean.
Like with the drugs and making you find stuff.
For instance, one day came through the back door, and it led into the kitchen, and she's on the floor, and she's like, "Don't move, help me look." She obviously dropped drugs on the ground, and she was already high, not knowing if she had smoked it already or if it fell on the ground. She was tweaking pretty much. And so it was, get down here and help me. So then, you know, when that happens, you just go outside, you sit, and you wait for your brother and sister to come home, and you make whatever dinner you can make, and you make sure they get to bed and let her do her, because she was kind of mean, and she could be very mean.
Now, was she mean before the drugs, like naturally, or was she?
She's always had a temper. She's a fighter.
Right. What I was getting at.
Yeah, when they would go out, and she had no problem swinging. So, and she would with the best of them. So.
Okay. Did she beat you?
Oh yeah.
So she was physically abusive?
Yes. And I think she was physically abusive, but she was very verbally abusive.
Was she abusive in both forms to all the children?
Not to all of us. Mostly me and my brother. My sister, not so much. But as I've gotten older, I've learned a few things from my sister, that she treated her different around us, but when she was by herself, she treated her very badly.
So that kind of makes you think, okay, so did she have good parents?
Yes, my grandparents were good. They were strict. My grandfather was military. My grandmother she was a supervisor of Little Champ stores. They had a very strict house. But growing up in the South and where we come from and where we live, that was kind of normal. But they love their kids, and they love their grandkids. So she just didn't like to play by the rules. So she was a free spirit, and that's who she was.
Okay, so at some point, so wait, I want to paint the picture for everybody. So time progresses.
Mm-hmm.
So let's jump forward just a little bit. So as the years go by, nothing really changes. It either stayed the same or got worse.
Yes.
So I'm assuming more random people in and out of the house.
Yes.
More weird behavior.
Yes.
More not having food in the house. Probably there was probably times where you didn't even have electricity.
Oh yeah.
So did you at that young age, did you know that is a wrong environment?
No.
That was normal.
That was normal. Mm-hmm.
So when you go to school and stuff, do you not talk to people and find out that your life is a little different than everybody else's?
No, you don't talk about what goes on at home, at school, to no one. That's just the rules.
Did you ever have bruises or anything that you'd have to talk about at school? No,
because if we did, she knew how to cover them up. She knew what to make us wear, and when she did, it was mostly, I wouldn't have a lot of black and blue marks. I had very long hair. She never cut the girls' hair, so we always had long hair. So the first thing she would do would be grab you by the hair. She would punch us.
So never black eyes, nothing like that?
Because she knew she would have to explain that. So it was,
It was strategic.
Was always covered. We were always where we could wear clothes and not show. So
now, was she like a whenever was she a belt kind of lady, or was she switches, wooden spoons, flip flops,
whatever she could get her hands on? Water hoses,
like a true Southern lady should.
Yep, like she's gone out and cut a water hose, because a water hose will leave welts, but not leave bruises.
That was my next question. What's the worst thing you ever got your ass whipped with?
Water hose.
Really? That was the worst? No coat hangers or anything like that?
No, switches became whatever.
Right.
Belts, you kind of get used to it. You know, if you stay still long enough, that she'll get tired. If you jump and move around, she's gonna hit you more. Yeah. Water hoses were the worst because they left big nasty whelps. And
so now hitting where are you getting hit? Just on the butt?
Back, legs, anything.
Your back?
Mm-hmm.
And
like on purpose?
Wait a minute. Hold on, I got a question real quick. And never at any point getting whipped with a water hose, did you carry that to school with you, as far as letting people just seeing that you were hurting, or just seeing it in general? No.
You didn't have like a girlfriend?
No.
That you could confide in?
I didn't have sleepovers and stuff like that.
You never went to a sleepover?
No. Mm-mm.
She couldn't. She had kids to take care of.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and that's what I want to get into next. So let's fast forward just a little bit. So through the conversations that we've had, I know that this, again, either stayed the same or got worse all the way up until a certain point. And at this certain point, and I'm talking about where she went missing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
right. So real quick, what age are we at now?
So
12, 11?
No, so I was 10 when we got put in foster.
Okay, wait. Okay, so that's where I want to go next. So 10 years old, you're at home, everything's normal as far as your normal. Okay, so what happens?
So she had disappeared for 2 weeks. She had been gone for about right at 2 weeks.
Okay, wait. So for 2 weeks, at 10 years old, you being the oldest, and I'm going to speak for her a little bit just to make sure that we're going in a certain direction. I was
getting ready to say, let her talk, man.
I know, but I want her to. So not only is she only 10 years old, but she has to go to school. She has to eat.
Right. I have questions. Yeah, we're getting to that. Let her tell her story. Yeah.
Listen, before I've already
got an arsenal of questions lined up already.
Yeah, but before we did this, didn't I tell you that I was going to guide her through this?
But don't
shut your mouth. Shut it. Okay, let us tell the story. Okay, we were in the middle of the good part until you chimed in. I say good part. I don't mean good part, but this is where it got interesting to me.
Yeah.
I'm chiming in here because I want people to understand exactly what's going on here, because at 10 years old, her mom disappeared, but yet they still got to go to school. They still got to eat.
Right. So let her do.
Okay. Yeah, but wait a minute. So at 10 years old, you know how to cook?
Yeah. I knew how to cook at 6.
What were you cooking at 10 years old? What was dinner?
Mac and cheese, fried bologna sandwiches, grilled cheeses, soup. Because we didn't have microwaves back then.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
What about eggs and potatoes?
I could cook eggs. So your normal basic stuff, and cereal. I mean,
what about vegetables? Did you eat vegetables?
Probably not.
Was there food in the house?
Sometimes.
So at this particular time, when she was gone for 2 weeks, was there food in the house?
It started to run out. So we lived right beside a church that me and my brother and sister would go to sometimes. There was a family there, and they had noticed that pretty much we were by ourselves. They hadn't seen my mom, and they always had come to the church. They were really involved in the church, so they were kind of there all the time. So they knew we lived literally right beside the church. So they pulled me to the side and they said, where's your mom at? And I told them, she hadn't been here. And she said, okay, we'll go. I did spend the night at their house. That was kind of like a first time for everything because they were involved in the church and my mom pretty much was okay with that. So we had spent the night there before, and so I knew them. I felt comfortable. She told me to go pack me, my sister, and brother's bag, that we were going to come home with them for the night. So I did because I'm 10. My mom's nowhere to be found. I already walked the streets to find her local places.
Wait. Sorry. We're not talking about walking the streets in fucking, I don't know, some fairy tale neighborhood.
Oh, no.
We're talking about downtown Jacksonville, Florida, Duval County.
Yeah, it's pretty rough.
A rough fucking area. Like, I don't go to this area. Right. During the day, at night. So where she's talking about, where her mom disappeared at, where they lived at, where the church was, she's carried me to these places. They are still not places to be hanging out at.
Now,
especially a white boy.
You talking about her local spot? You talking about like bars or bingo halls or what?
Drug houses.
Trap. That's what they call trap houses these days.
Yeah.
So I did. So we went there and spent the night. My brother was suspended.
Wait. Did they ask questions?
They just asked where she was, and I told them, and they said, "Come home with me." That was it.
So when you went home with them, did they ask you where's your mom at? Did you say, look at my back, look what my mom did?
No.
Nothing?
No.
Because you loved your mom and you didn't want her to get in trouble?
Yes.
So even though your mom was this person, you still loved her?
Of course. She's my mother.
That's weird, right? I mean, I get it. But at the same time, that's fucking weird. Here is your out. Here is your way out right here. It's been presented to you by these people.
Yeah, but my life was normal. Anything else was different to me. Why would I change what I know already?
Yeah.
When you're a kid like that, man, all you know is unconditional love, no matter what the circumstance. The shit that she went through was normal.
Yes, she could make me wash her dirty feet, which she has done, and I still loved her, and that didn't change.
Right.
She was just fucked up.
Because that's normal activity for you.
Yes.
Okay, so you're over at these people's house.
Mm-hmm.
And continue. Well.
So my brother was suspended at the time. So they dropped me and my sister off at school. I was 6th grade. My sister, elementary school. So they kept my brother, and not knowing what was going on, they took my brother downtown to child services. Explained the situation, and later on that day I was at school and I got called to the office. As I walk into an office, this tall, strange lady said my name.
White woman?
Black woman. Said, "Come with me." And I looked at her and I was like, "Who the hell are you? I'm not going no fucking where with you."
Why your brother? Why not you? Because you're the oldest. Why did they pull him first?
Because he was suspended. So the lady that stayed, they had taken him down there. So, so she said, "Well, I have Michael at my office, and we have to go pick up Nina." So I said, "Well, okay." So
wait a minute. You said okay because you knew that
her knowing my
your brother,
siblings,
yeah.
I said, okay, she couldn't have known that just, out of the blue. So for my sister's sake too, I went because my sister wouldn't have gone with her either, not being as young as she was. She would have been like, "No, I don't know you. I'm not going with you." So we pick my sister up and we go back to her office. And I'm sitting, as soon as we walk in, my brother's sitting there and he's like, they said that we're not going back home. So first thought process.
Okay, wait. Was he crying?
No, he wasn't. He looked scared a little bit, but he wasn't crying. He was just like, "They're not taking us home." So first thought process is, okay, I know where we are at. We can just walk out and leave. But also being 10 and all these adults around, they're gonna know they're gonna look at 3 kids walking out of the building.
Yeah.
So we didn't leave. My sister spoke up and said, well, I know where my mom is. I was supposed to meet her after school today on this corner. She named the corner. And the lady said, oh, really? So she said, okay, let's get in the car. So we get in the car. We're thinking that she's going to take us and drop us off at our mom's. So, of course, we pull up to the corner and my mom is standing there. The lady,
cracked out?
No, she wasn't high, I don't think. She probably had been, but she wasn't high. She was showered and everything, waiting for my sister. She pulled up, rolled down the window, and pretty much told her, this is your day in court. Your kids are going into the system. And if you want your kids back, this is where you need to be and what time you need to be.
Okay, and where'd you go?
So, me being the oldest, they automatically separated me from the younger 2.
Okay, wait, right there. Sorry for all the coughing. We're sick. So, at 10 years old, I can't get over, I can see your brother's face at a young age like that. They say that we're not going back home. Dude, that breaks my heart right there. Thinking of a young child like that who he don't know what the day holds at this point.
No.
So y'all. So they didn't even let y'all. They did a drive-by meeting with your mom.
Oh yeah, we were kicking windows, kicking doors. We couldn't get them open.
Okay, so at that point is when you realized that,
oh shit, we're in trouble.
My life is completely gonna change right now.
Yes.
So in that car, while you're parked out in front of your mom, and she says your kids are going into, y'all started kicking doors and windows trying to get out.
Mm-hmm.
What was your mom doing on the outside?
Crying.
Was she pulling on door handles to try to get y'all out?
No, but she was crying and asking her not to do this.
No sympathy, but from the.
No.
Okay, so what y'all burn? Y'all like spin tires and fucking haul ass?
No, she just pulled off and told her. Once she told her the court date and the time, she just drove off.
Okay, and y'all, that vehicle went where first?
To drop me off.
At where?
At a girls' home.
So you're 10 years old at this point?
Yes.
So now, I don't know that much about girls' homes, of course, because, I'm a dude. So what is a girls' home?
It is a shelter for girls that have been taken away from their families.
State ran?
State has come in and taken.
No.
Oh, yes, it is
state funded?
Yes.
So I picture this gymnasium full of bunk beds.
No, it was a building. It had bedrooms, mostly bunk bed. All bedrooms had bunk beds in it, so it depended. Some were 2 bunk beds, some were 4.
So it resembled a jail.
Yeah, I mean there were rules. You couldn't leave.
At 10 years old.
Yes.
You're in jail, pretty much. That's essentially what.
I couldn't leave. I couldn't have visitation. I was allowed to make 1 phone call during phone call hours.
Just like jail.
We got up at a certain time to eat breakfast. We went to lunch at a certain time. We went to dinner at a certain time. We cleaned up. We had showers at a certain time of the night. That
sounds like penitentiary for 10-year-olds.
Oh yeah.
But you make a good point, because.
And you done nothing wrong.
Yeah.
But when you think about a girl's home, you think about this cute little girl who was stripped from her family, and I'm sure that's the case in some cases, but you're also talking about badass little kids So here you have this innocent young child.
Just like jail.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and this is an interesting part for me. This is why I chimed in. So, explain how living in that type of environment and as it continued. I want you to touch on the backpack part.
Oh.
So, but in the timeline, tell your story. But you know, that's important, I think.
So when I left my house, remember we packed one bag. I packed 3 bags, one for me, one for my brother, one for my sister. So that night, our house got set on fire. So we literally had what we had in our backpack, and that was it.
So the night you got taken away
to the Bennett's house, yes.
And that's the girls' home?
No, that was the people that took us from the church.
Okay, so you skipped you skipped that part then, right?
Yeah.
So before you went to the girls' home, before the she went missing for 2 weeks?
No, that was when she went missing and we went to the church and the lady pulled me to the side. That night, Mom.
So the night you went to the school and they took you to the.
No, the night that we went to the people at the church when they told us to come home with them. That night is when our house got burnt down.
Okay, so that was intentional or accidental or what?
No, that was intentional by my mom's boyfriend at the time. He set the house on fire. So
to get rid of evidence.
Well, not that. He was pissed at my mom because she had been gone for 2 weeks.
Right.
And he was in it, in and out, whatever. But so he got pissed because whatever happened between them, they got into a fight. Drugs didn't get shared. I don't know. But so he, in revenge to her, went and burnt down the house. So by the grace of God, we weren't there because we would have been there when the house got set on fire. So that was kind of a blessing. So I had one book bag full of what I had. So when you get to these places where they put you, they don't give you anything. They'll give you a toothbrush, give you, your basic stuff if you need it or whatever. And there's been kids that have come in there and didn't have anything but the clothes on their back, and they have pulled together some things, but what you come with is yours. Nobody touches your shit. That's your shit.
Right.
And if they do, and you let them take it, then it's theirs. So whatever's yours, you fight for.
Just like jail, man. That blows my mind.
So, because you're automatically getting sized up when you walk through the door. Who is this? What's her story? Where's she come from? Why is she here? Etc. etc. Just like you would anywhere else, whether it be prison, whatever. So, like I said, they automatically separated me because me being the oldest, I have a lot of influence. I would have a lot of influence on my brother and sister. So they stuck them together in a group home in like a little temporary shelter until they found a place. It was YCC, Youth Crisis Center. So they took them there, and it's a lockdown facility. Like you get buzzed in, buzzed out, girls on one side, boys on the other.
Right.
Same thing, same routine, breakfast, lunch, dinner, whatever activities. You got to make your bed, can't lay on your bed. Same thing. They're all pretty basic, and they're all mostly ran by the state or funded through churches or whatever. So.
Right.
So let's fast forward just a little bit. So did you run away from that facility?
Not then. Not my first one, no. I stayed.
So what happened? How did you get out of there?
I stayed there at that. Now, the facility I was at was also it was Children's Home Society. So they had other cottages or other buildings that once you graduated from here, like if you were going to be, some kids went home that weekend. You know what I'm saying? Like they got to go home once they went to court. Once the state takes you, then you become a ward of the state. So then you would get moved to more permanent shelters. So they had other facilities that I kind of graduated to as I was there.
So did this facility or these facilities, as time progressed, did any of them teach you life lessons, checkbooks, cooking, sewing?
More of when I got more of that when I got based at a more permanent, where my brother and sister had been located.
So what about school?
We go to a school that the state provides for us. So it's literally like a couple of trailers outside of a school, and all the bad kids go there. That's what they called us, because it was all the kids in foster care and in the system.
So you went to a regular school,
but just away.
But you didn't go into the classrooms with them.
No, not when I first got in. No.
She went to the portables out back where the bad kids go.
Yeah. So, and most of the time the teachers were half-assed. They were just there to get a paycheck. Right. They didn't really. We would sit around and talk. Like, if you had friends at other shelters that would come there, like, because we all both there together. So, like, you get to see people, and you would get to see, the guys. Hey, how you doing? Kind of thing. So we would really just bullshit and not learn. We didn't learn shit. I didn't learn shit.
Okay, so at some point, did you choose to leave a facility?
Yes.
Okay, so what was that when you were looking for your brother and sister, or?
What was your age? What was that? How old were you whenever you left your first?
11.
11?
Yeah, 11.
So did you run away, or they let you out?
No, I ran away.
Okay.
It was the same facility I was at. It was the girls' home, and sometimes things just get bad. You got a lot of fighting in there. You got a lot of rules. They're not my parents. Who are them to tell me what to do? Screw y'all. I'm out of here.
So you take your backpack.
Pack my backpack. What I can't carry, I don't take. So if I've accumulated anything, then it stays, and the other girls can have it when I leave. But I pack my backpack and I walk out the doors, because they can't they can't physically put their hands on you. And I learned that at a quick age. So I would leave. I'd walk out the door. Who's going to stop me? Or I'm going to smoke.
So I visualize some crazy ass old lady. No, don't leave. Stay. You got to stay here. You got to stay here. And the cops say so, or the law says so, and you just stick your nose up in the air with your backpack strapped to your back, and you just keep moving.
Yeah, it wasn't always so polite, because
So they physically, not fit, well, I say physically, but they tried to stop you from leaving, and you left anyway?
They would try to talk to you. They would walk down the street with you as far as they could go, without, they couldn't leave their job, to follow you down the street, so they could follow you to a certain point. And they would try to talk you into coming back, and no, fuck this place, I'm out.
Well, what about like custody and like the whole your mind till you're 18 rule? They have custody of you. The state has custody of you. They can make you do whatever they want you to until you're 18, though, right?
They can't put their hands on me, though. No state worker. If they put their hands on you, you're going to jail.
Yeah, I get that. I mean, I totally understand that. That makes total sense. But what I'm saying is,
tie me down, though. They cannot do that. And no shelter is. I mean, unless you're in a lockdown facility, then you just pick and choose when you take off.
But now here's where it gets delicate. So you take this same situation and you take an adult female or an adult male. A police officer can manhandle you and force you to do what they're requiring you to do, right?
Mm-hmm. But
now you take those two adults and you replace them with a female 10-year-old.
And most of the time, if you're in an all girls, you have all women. Them women don't get paid enough to put their hands on you and you beat the shit out of them. Because some of them kids, psychological problems, mental, just basket cases.
Absolutely.
You can't touch them because they've been beaten so much they lash out. I mean, it's a number. So those people don't get paid enough to put themselves in harm's way. They going home when it's time to clock out. They going home to their family. They not worried about your ass.
Yeah, so, they're not emotionally involved in anything.
No,
it's just,
so for a lot of them, I mean, they were good people. Some of them were. And they would try to talk you into coming back. Please come back. You don't want to be out here in the street, you know, especially being a female. You don't know what can happen to you. So sometimes that would work. Sometimes that wouldn't work.
Did they call it law?
Yeah, they have to. As soon as I leave the premises, they have to by the law.
What blows my mind is you were just at 11 years old able to just walk out.
Oh yeah, walk out the door.
And nothing ever be done about it.
They call the cops and put them.
An APB.
And they put an APB as a runaway. I'm a runaway in the system.
Okay, so so you leave there.
Mm-hmm.
Is there an interesting story on why you left that day?
No.
Okay, so you were just fed up with it.
Mm-hmm.
But you knew your brother and sister were at that same facility, right?
No, they were at at this time they were at a lockdown facility. And I got over there. I walked.
Okay, so wait a minute. So that was going to be my next question. So when you left that place, do you, now I know this was many years ago, but did you leave at night? Did you leave during the day?
I believe the first time was during the day.
No, the last time where you, the first time, I gotcha.
When I ran away.
Yeah.
I think it was more during the day because it's not odd to see a kid out during the day. It's odd to see a kid out at night.
Right. So where'd you go?
To find them. I knew the name of the place and I knew where it was. So I just walked.
Okay, wait a minute. Again, we're not talking about some podunk. We're talking about Jacksonville, the largest.
And everything spread out. So
the largest
for hours.
What is it per square mile city in the whole country, and at 11 years old knew how to get from point A to point B by walking.
I think it's just survival. No matter how old you are, I mean, you have obligations, you know. For me, it was, okay, I'm sick of living at this place. It's horrible. I'm going home. So
that was your goal when you left, to go get your brother and sister
and go home.
And go home.
Go find my mama. And that's what we would do.
You just walked up to this place. They let you in?
No. So once I got there, I realized it's a lockdown facility. Like, you have to be buzzed in, buzzed out.
Yeah, that's what I was getting.
So I knew I couldn't do it that way. So I just kind of like hung out. It was by school. So I just looked like one of the kids going to school. Yeah. So they would come in and out, like they would leave to go to school or whatever. So I would wait around. Mostly it was my brother. I was really close to my brother. So as soon as I would see him come out of the building, I would just yell his name. Everybody goes to the same school, so now I just got to find a ride to the school. So you find a ride.
Who gives an 11-year-old a ride?
A lot of people. You got to be on.
I mean,
you have to be very cautious. Again, it was women and kids where you knew you were going to be safe. You just had to, something just kicks in. You don't think about what harm you put yourself in. Right. You just know that you got to get somewhere and you're going to get there no matter what. A lot of times I would walk a lot of places. Like, I walked my whole life everywhere. Or the bus. I knew how to take the bus. It was only 50 cents at the time. It's easy to beg for 50 cents. I spent my school money. I got to get the bus or I'm going to get in trouble. Oh, here, honey, here's 50 cents. Okay. If I could make it downtown, then I was I was right around the corner from my house.
Downtown Jacksonville.
So all I had to do was make it downtown on the bus. So I would go and I would walk a couple blocks into Springfield, and I knew where I would just hit all the spots my mom would either hang out or have been, or a friend's house. Hey, have you seen my mom? Have you seen my mom? Yeah, she's over at such and such. So people would talk. They knew us. They knew the kids. We grew up there. So I would end up finding her, and she was like, "What are you doing?" And because she was doing whatever she does, still getting high, still partying.
What was her reaction the first time you walked up on her from being ran away like that? How did she act? Like, did she like, "Oh my God, what are you doing here?" What was the?
Like a joyful?
No, she was
glad
like,
to see you, or
like
you fucked up my high.
No,
what are you doing here?
More of a scared, like, holy shit, how did you get here? Like, she was scared for me, but at the same time, sometimes she would be high and be like, "Hey, you know," you know. So it was kind of, you never knew, or if she had a John in the room, you got to come back. So it was a couple different, like, you just, I don't know, and a lot of people don't understand it, but I grew up this way. So these are normal things to me. So to get there and she say, "Oh, you got to come back in an hour," was no big thing. Okay, I'll go hang out. I have friends that still live in this neighborhood. I'll just go chill with them. And that's what I would do. So as time progressed, eventually me, my brother and sister all got put at the same place.
Same place? Like what's
like a children's home, but it was called Baptist Children's Home. So, but before I got there, some places were really bad.
Okay, so wait a minute. we're jumping all over the place, and I know this story forwards and backwards, so there's going to be some things that I want, to make sure that are mentioned. So you pretty much bounced in between state-funded facilities for at-risk youth, but you would also go to like a foster parent, like a house, a residential house. So explain some of the situations as far as, because I'm assuming that I know a little bit. Like, I know that if you are a foster parent, meaning you're not adopting, you're kind of opening up your house to a child,
and you get a check.
Yeah, and unfortunately, I want to think that here's this nice lady and her husband, and they have so much love in their house.
Some of them are.
Okay, so let's talk about that. Right.
I don't want to knock all of foster homes, because not all of them are horrible.
Right. So talk about
some of them, though.
Okay. So you walk into, somebody takes you there.
So
real quick. Paycheck and Red are not talking shit about foster homes. They're a great thing. Yeah. Some of them are just shit. Okay, let's just make that clear. We support the foster home.
Fuck your foster home.
They're not all bad. You have some great foster homes and some great foster parents. I know. I'm older. I'm an older generation, and I know that in my younger years, they were far and few. I had some really shitty ones.
So wait, these people get paid by the state to take you in?
Oh yeah.
And that money is supposed to be to pay for your food and clothes and
school supplies if you go to school. Whatever the case, it's supposed to be for you.
So when you go to these places, I'm assuming that some of these places have these people already have kids.
Some of them.
So was there ever a situation where you were treated like shit? Like, my kids eat first, my kids shower first, my kids get to bed.
Yeah.
Did you stay at places like that?
No. I would just pack my bag and leave.
All right, so while you're going through these foster homes and these people's houses like this, are your brother and sister with you at this point?
No.
How old were you whenever that started happening in and out of foster home?
10. So I went to my first.
That started immediately.
Yeah. Oh yeah, because you don't stay at one. You don't stay at one temporary shelter for very long. They move you. Like, if they start to get overcrowded, they take you somewhere else.
So how long before you got your brother and sister back and you guys started living, like, together, like house to house and whatever. Wow.
In the kitchen. I was 13, maybe 12 and a half, like right at 13, I think I was.
Wow.
So some of them, like so when you're a ward of the state, you get assigned a counselor, and that counselor manages when you go to court, because you have to go to court. She sends notifications out. Yeah, a caseworker. She sends stuff out, notifications to your family when court is. So they kind of, they're your, being a young child, they speak for you. They talk a lot. I had a good caseworker. I remember her name. It was Maggie Berry, and she was phenomenal. She was young, and she loved the kids. So
shout out to Maggie Berry.
And I had her all the way till I was 17. So she was my caseworker my whole time in foster care, and she was a good woman. And she felt bad for having to take me to some of these places because that was the only thing that was available at the time.
So you had a personal relationship with this woman.
Yeah. I trusted her.
Not just with her, but these county sheriffs riding around.
Yeah,
they see her, they know her. They know her mom.
Right, but were there no other family members to take you in instead of putting you in foster care?
I have, now my grandparents did go to court, and we did go to stay with them, but because of their age and my grandmother got really sick, my grandfather had to bring us back to foster care.
So imagine the heartbreak.
Yeah, that was my next thought.
So this
no aunts, no aunts or uncles or cousins.
I have aunts and uncles, but
they just let you bounce back and forth between. Wow.
So in the middle of these foster homes and foster care facilities, when you'd run away, I know, again, through the stories that you've told me and the conversations we've had, I know that backpack was your life, and if it didn't fit in the backpack, you didn't take it or whatever. So when you leave this place, okay, so caseworker takes you to a place, it's dirty, it's dingy, there might be some physical abuse, maybe some verbal or emotional abuse. So you get your backpack and you just walk out the door.
I did.
And go where?
I walked the street during the day. At night.
Okay, so wait. So during the day, so you're 11-ish?
Yeah.
10, 11, 12, as time progresses.
Yeah.
So most people know that the human body can go without food for 3 days? Something like that?
Yeah.
But not water. I mean, you have to have a some sort, I say water. I know these days, like Red, I'm sure you couldn't tell me when the last time you had a glass of water, huh?
Yes, I can. I drink water frequently.
Yeah. But you see what I'm saying, though? Because a lot of people.
What the fuck are you insinuating?
Yeah. You just look like a Mountain Dew and Marlboro kind of guy.
I stay away from Mountain Dew. I can't stand Mountain Dew, but I am smoking Marlboro.
Yeah.
No.
And you did just sip on a Dr. Pepper.
Yeah, but dude, I also drink a beer. But no, what I'm saying is, I think you're wrong. I think the body can go for like a couple weeks without food.
Yeah, and a couple days without water.
Right, but what I'm trying to figure out is, at what point were you and your brother and sister ever on the streets together?
Never my sister.
Right, but tell them about times where you would.
I would run away from a bad place. I always knew where my brother and sister were at all times.
How?
Right.
Through a caseworker.
She would tell. At no point did she say, "Look, I can't divulge that information anymore because every time I do, your ass shows up over there."
No. I always at all times knew where my brother and sister was. So, if my brother was at a boys' home that I knew I could get to, then I would just run away, walk over there. My brother would be hanging out outside. Hey, you coming? Yep, hold on. run inside, grab his bag, and out he went. And sometimes friends would go with us. So,
okay, so wait, real quick. This is important. So, as you mentioned before, that people would notice a young girl at that age just walking down the street by herself. And we're not talking, again, we're talking about a pretty rough area of Jacksonville, Florida. So,
dude, it blows my mind.
Wait. This is important. So you wouldn't take, not only did you know how to get to the places that you went to, but you knew that you couldn't walk the main roads. Dude, there's been times where her and I be riding around Jacksonville, and she'll show me back roads that she took to get from point A to point B. To avoid, like, because I imagine there's school.
So, yeah, during school hours, you know to stay away from schools. You know to stay away from main roads that cops are going to obviously ride down, because if you're supposed to be in school, they're going to pull you over and ask why you're not in school. And then they're going to run your name. And then you're going to come up as a runaway. Then they're going to either take you back to the shelter you came from, you ran away from, or they're going to have to take you and call your caseworker, and then they're going to have to take you to another home and drop you off.
Well, see, it blows my mind that you're able to walk in and out of these places and get your brother and say, "Hey, are you coming with me?" And y'all just walk the fuck out, and nobody ever does anything about it.
Nope.
What year was it?
Early 80s?
Yeah.
82?
Yeah.
No, wait.
No, yeah.
Yeah?
About
85, 86?
Yeah. So mid 80s. So, but it was easy. You just walk out. Like I said, they don't get paid enough. They don't get paid enough. They're not putting their hands on you. They're like, bye. We'll report you as a runaway.
Yeah.
So, and that's exactly what they did. That's really all they could.
That's how much the times have changed.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure a lot of facilities now have, but I'm sure that a lot of facilities are still the way they are. Because they're government, they're state run. So depending on what side of town I'm at, some were locked down, like I said, and some were, you can go outside, you can play basketball. Okay, I'm going outside to play basketball. Peace, see you later, I'm out. And you just walk off. And by the time they know, you're already gone. So they're like, they go to do a count and you're gone. And they're like, okay, when's the last time you seen her? You just had to know when you can leave and when you couldn't.
So, all right, all this happens during the day.
Mm-hmm.
You're walking around Jacksonville from place to place.
Mm-hmm.
What happens when the sun goes down? I mean, what do you do? Where do you go? I mean, what are you eating? I mean, when the sun goes, all this is happening during the day, but what happens when the sun goes down? It's time to head down. Where do you sleep?
If I'm by myself, public, like parks with public bathrooms that open up,
right.
You go in and lock the door. And just keep it locked, no matter who banged on it or what, until the morning.
Did that ever happen?
Yeah. I mean, by myself, being a female, sometimes I would run away and run to friends' houses that I knew. Like, go back down to Springfield. I knew I couldn't go to my mom's because they would look for me there. But I could go to friends' houses and stay the night. Because not everybody knew that we had been taken away. So they just thought, my mom didn't tell that information out to a lot of people. So a lot of people just thought maybe we were at our grandparents. And I'm like, and I would tell my friend, can I spend the night here? And they'd be like, yeah, let me ask my mom. And so you make sure you're always, there's been times where when I was growing up, we had overpasses. So, and in those overpasses, if you climb up, you can get in between the bridge and the overpass. And there's usually enough space where you can crawl in and back yourself against the wall to where you have a view all the way around you and your back's covered. So you would just learn to sleep like that.
And how old were you when that happened?
I think the first time I've ever slept up under a bridge, probably around 12, I think I was.
So have you ever been looking for a place to sleep and come across somebody already there?
Oh yeah, and you just move on.
Like, were they scary? Like, especially at 12 years old. I mean,
of course, being a kid, everybody's scary. So there's something that kicks in, and you're prepared for everything, and you expect the worst, but you just try to get yourself out of situations. Like, if I would come up and people would already be there, I'd keep moving. I wouldn't stop.
Has anybody ever woke you up in the middle of the night?
No. I've never been scared like that.
And these are the same places you'd stay with your brother when he was with you too?
Yeah.
So what about food? I mean, would you steal?
We go into convenience stores and slip stuff in our bags or whatever, in our pants, and walk out. Or
what kinds of stuff? What kinds of stuff are we talking about here?
Anything you could grab. What was easy enough to conceal without you getting caught? Because if you got caught, you go to juvie. So.
What was your favorite thing? What was your favorite thing to steal?
Chips. It was easier to steal chips. So you could live off chips. I can live off anything. So I'm at a couple times where, restaurants throw out food at the end of the night.
And I was getting ready to say, did you ever dig in trash cans?
Mm-hmm. So you go to those places because and a lot of times people get familiar. So if they keep seeing you, then there were good people, some good people, some not so good people. You just you took the good and the bad. So,
have you ever been to a foster home and some creepy dude tried to fuck with you in the middle of the night?
Yeah.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
And they have kids.
I've had their kids try to mess with me at night. I've had them try.
At that age, or older kids?
They were older kids. I've had girls cut my hair. I've had wake up and the guy be
while you're sleeping.
Mm-hmm. I've woken up and I used to be a very light sleeper. I'm okay now because I'm older now, but any sound, noise, I would wake up. And to wake up and see somebody standing over you is creepy. The rest of the night you don't sleep. Huh?
You sleeping like that is just a product of your environment.
Yeah. You're always on guard. Always.
So what happens when you wake up and somebody's touching you or assaulting you, or
you get up, you get out of the situation however you can, and the next day you leave. Or
so you never left. You never left after an incident immediately and said, "Fuck that! I'm not staying here."
I have one, but I was also raped that night, so I didn't stay. I left.
So you were raped at a foster home,
mm-hmm.
where
at what age?
Huh?
At what age?
Maybe between 12 and 13, right before I got put with my brother and sister. So
big motherfuckers, man.
So these motherfuckers were getting paid by the state to house you, clothe you, feed you.
I've had foster parents spend foster care kids' money on their kids, and we go without. So I wouldn't stay at those places. If I walked in and the place looked shady, I'd look at my guidance counselor and I would be like, "I'll meet you back at the office." And she would be like, "I don't have anywhere else to put you. You have to stay here." And I would look at her and I would tell her, "I will meet you back at your office. I'm not fucking staying here."
So what do you mean? She'd leave and you would literally leave right behind her?
Oh, yeah.
Through the front door?
Yeah. I'm not staying here. You're fucking crazy. Leave.
Yeah, but wouldn't the foster family be upset because don't they get that money?
Yeah, but I don't give a shit. I don't care about them.
No, what I'm saying is that they never tried to physically keep you there?
Because I wouldn't even go inside. Fuck you. I'm not staying here. When you show up at somebody's house and they got 7 kids, and you can tell every foster kid looks like shit and their kids no.
Yeah, when you come in, you're way down here on that list already.
Yeah, I'm like, nope, it ain't happening. When they walk you in and the floor is dirty the kids got bunk beds, and there's 4 bunk beds into this small ass room, and then beds over, other.
Yeah.
There were places that, nope, I'm not staying here. And then there were some places, okay, I think I can stay here. And then, stay for however long. And then either I ended up leaving or I got moved because they had to make room for somebody else. So I would go somewhere else.
So oftentimes you would assess the situation, find that it's not a place for you, and you would just leave.
Oh yeah.
So you would again be homeless, walking the streets of Jacksonville, eating whatever you could find, drinking whatever you could find. Where would you find water?
Public bathrooms.
Like out of the sink?
Yeah, the sink. There's a lot of places have
Water fountains.
Water fountains. I'd go down to the Jacksonville Landing and hang out all day because they got bathrooms. They have water fountains, and I would go in the bathroom, wash my face.
Have you ever slept inside of a grocery store?
No.
Have you ever slept inside of an establishment?
Nope. I have slept in a bathroom in a public park and just lock the door, and it just, when people come and check on it, it would just look like the door's locked because I would cut the light off. It's out of service. Most people would think, oh, they locked it at night or whatever.
I don't know if I've asked you this tonight or not, but where's the craziest place you've ever slept?
I think under a bridge, under an overpass, because it's scary. So.
You think it'd be loud under there?
Yeah.
It is, but you kind of zone everything out. You pay attention. There are certain things you pay attention to and certain things you can zone out. Cars and stuff like that, you can zone out.
Yeah.
Do you remember ever contemplating suicide at a young age?
Yeah, a couple times. But it just got hard. And, when you come from a family where no love, my grandparents loved us. Just that motherly or fatherly bond that you have with kids that you're supposed to have with your parents wasn't there. So yeah, there was a couple times like why I would question God a lot, like why me? Why do I have to live this life? I mean, what did I do so wrong? So
what changed?
I grew up.
Okay, listen, we're gonna touch on that. And I'm glad you asked that because the question you just asked is one of the biggest reasons why I wanted to do this. So, but hold on just a minute. Let's fast forward to a little older, and let's talk about the emancipation process. Not in itself, but just the process. So you go your whole life in and out of foster care, these kind of facilities. At any point from the age of 10 to the age of 17, did you ever live with your mom again?
No.
She
never showed up for any court dates. She never asked for us back, and she never tried to get us back.
At any time, have you ever been in the state's custody and your mom was in the state's custody and you guys ended up in the courtroom at the same time?
We've been in the same jail.
Same jail? So, okay, but this is 17 and older?
Yeah.
Okay, but back up a little bit.
Okay.
So you lived this lifestyle from the age of 10 to what?
17.
Okay, so at 17, like, what was your first job?
Coastal Cookies down at the Landing.
How old were you?
17.
Were you still a product of the state at that point?
No, I've been emancipated.
Okay, so that's too far.
Wait a minute. I was getting ready to say, I want to know about the emancipation process.
Yeah, okay, so at some point.
So at 16, so now by 16, I went to a group home and me and my brother and sister got placed there. So
all together?
All together. So for 3 years we were together. Out of the whole time we were taken away.
So what, 14, 15, 16-ish?
Yes. So we all got put at the same place.
By request, or it just happened like that?
By request, because we kept asking to be put together.
So wait a minute. So the same people that split y'all up intentionally put you guys back together per a request?
Well, because they found a place that could take all three of us.
A place like a facility?
Yeah, a group home. It was a
state-funded group home.
Actually, it wasn't state-funded. It was
church.
A church-funded group home, yes.
Okay, so y'all were there together.
For 3 years. My brother started acting up in and out, so he eventually left. So it was me and my sister.
Left on his own, or?
No, he got removed.
Okay.
So at 16, I had enough. I was tired. I was 16. So at this age, I was tired of rules.
You've lived a whole lifetime in just a few short years.
Yeah. So at this time, I was tired of people's rules. I was tired of. I had a big chip on my shoulder. I hated everybody. I didn't trust no one. I just wanted to be on my own and just live my own life. And I thought I could. At 16, I thought I could. So I ran away from the children's home.
Left your sister there?
I left my sister there.
Did she know you were leaving?
No.
Did you tell her you were leaving?
No. She is the youngest, and the way I looked at it, that was the safest place for her. It was a good place. I didn't leave because it was a bad place. I left because I was over it.
You gotta get your shit in order.
Yeah, I was over it by then. So I ran away.
Okay, so you ran away. Now I know through conversations that you ended up in front of a judge.
Yes.
In regards to being emancipated.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so what led up to that? So
at 16, when I ran away, anytime I was out and I got pulled over by the cops, whether it be, they run my name. And as soon as they run my name, it always comes up, run away.
Have you ever given them a fake name?
No. I always
Really?
gave my real name. It didn't bother me.
Even knowing that they were going to run it and know that you were running away?
So I knew I was going to juvie. So I went to kiddie prison, I guess. It's for young people. It's juvenile jail. So I went.
Wait. So you went from foster care to juvie? This is what the state has done to this poor woman.
So I went to juvie
for no reason. Like, she didn't break any laws. She wasn't a dope dealer. She wasn't.
I just ran away. So for them, the only place.
She was stealing tater chips.
Huh?
Stealing tater.
Yeah.
Cookies, anything you can grab.
But so what about toothbrushes and toothpaste and feminine products?
Yeah.
Oh, not at that age you didn't need it.
No,
okay.
Not until I was 17.
Okay, so continue.
So I kept running away, and so I ended up in court, and the judge was like, "You're sentenced to juvie." So I had to do 6 months in juvie for running away. So I had to spend 6 months in jail. When I got out, I had to go back to court, and I told him, I was like, I'm not staying at any foster home. I'm just gonna run away again.
Did he ask you why?
Yeah. The judges were always blunt, and I was just like, I'm over it. I want to be emancipated. And I was 16, so he was like, "You're too young. I can't he could emancipate me. It's been done by law, but he was like, I'm not doing that. You're not ready. You can't even stay in one place." So eventually I just kept running away, and eventually I turned 17.
So real quick, for our listeners, what exactly does being emancipated mean?
So being emancipated at 17 means you are considered legally an adult. You are on your own. So
wait. By law, you were on your own. Yes. On your own. But legally, what does that mean between your mom and you?
I'm an adult now. She has no say over me.
That's before you turned 18, correct?
Yes. So at 17, I ended up back at court, and I told him, I said, I want to be emancipated. I'm not.
Was this the same judge?
Same judge. I always had the same judge.
Really?
Yeah, because it was it was family court, so
we
only had a couple.
The entire time from 10 to 17, you had the entire judge the whole time.
I think maybe once or twice I might have had a different judge, but for the most part, judges and caseworkers are kind of who you always see. They're appointed.
Yeah.
So this judge, this judicial system. At 17, when you went in there, they knew you.
Oh, yeah.
They knew your mom.
Oh, yeah. Well, because anytime we had court dates for her the only time she ever showed up for court dates is when she was locked up herself and they physically brought her down in handcuffs to court.
So wait, brought her down to court in regards to what? You?
To the kids, yeah. Like if she was getting us back, if she was getting her shit together. And every time it was that they're staying in the state, you don't have your shit together, and she would either go back to jail but she never showed up. If she was out of jail, she never showed up for court.
Did she cry in court when you saw her?
She always gave me a hug and, hey, how are you doing?
All right, so
I miss y'all, love y'all.
So real quick before we continue with the emancipation process, there's been times where you've went into shelters. And your mom has either been there or they know you, or they say, because she has told me stories where she's went into a shelter just for the night, and some woman says, you look like this woman named such and such, and she would be like, well, yeah, that's my mom.
Yeah.
So she would go to a shelter to get out of the elements and run into her mom at shelters.
No. The only time I ever ran into my mom is the day I got emancipated. So I asked to be emancipated, and the judge told me I had two choices. I could be locked up for a year until I turned 18, or if he emancipated me, I had 1 month to get a job, to find an apartment, and to have a checking account. Or
how old?
At 17.
Right.
And if I didn't, then I would be locked up for a year. And when I turned 18, they would let me out and I would be an adult and I would be on my own. So the day that I got emancipated, I went to a homeless shelter. They took me from the courthouse where I had court and got emancipated and took me straight to a homeless shelter. I got to the homeless shelter and they were showing me around, took me to my room where there were 20 other people there living in this room, and they showed me my bed, and that's where the lady said, you look like so and so, and I said, that's my mom. She said, funny story, she's here, do you want to bunk by her? And for me, I don't care. I said yes. So
even after all this shit this woman has done to you and created and caused, you still you didn't mind being bunked next to her?
I had a lot of hate, a lot of resentment, but I didn't care about being in the same room with her. It was what it was. I mean, what could she possibly tell me? I was an adult.
Real quick, you're 17 years old.
Mm-hmm.
What is your mindset like right now? What kind of attitude do you have at this point? Like, how are you feeling towards everything?
Hate everybody. The only thing on my mind was to get a job, get a place to stay, and know that I had a place to stay if my brother and sister needed me.
So did you walk around with like this hard ass chip on your shoulder?
Oh yeah.
Everybody, or yeah.
I didn't trust anyone. Trust no one, then you're not let down.
Right.
So much so to where, so we're gonna fast forward a little bit. Okay, so she got emancipated.
But
She did the things that were required of her.
So I did the thing. So my mom was cool like the first day or so, and then the third day she tried to pull the mom card, and that's where I made my peace. I said some things to her, and I told her that she had no right to try to be a mom now. She wasn't a mom for 17 years. Why start now? I was a mom. I took care of my brother and sister, and I did what I had to do, even if it was sacrificing my dignity. I made sure my brother and sister were okay, and she had no right to talk to me or even act like my mother. You're my biological mom. You had me. And once I said this, and I told her that I forgive her, but I don't forget, and don't, you're not allowed to play mom card with me anymore. It doesn't work that way.
So where are your brother and sister at this point when you get emancipated?
Still in the system.
Separated?
Yes, separated.
So your brother wasn't. So your brother wasn't like a. What's the lack of a better term here? He wasn't like a separate runaway from you. Now that you've been emancipated, he wasn't on his own runaway by himself. He was.
Yeah, he would run away. So, yeah. Like he didn't stay at places very long. He would run away.
Okay, so wait a minute. I want to get back to that, but we're going back and forth. You made a comment about who were you? What type of person were you at that age? Right. So let's back up to your adopted mom. Mm-hmm. She was, in my opinion, fortunate enough to have some people come into her life that were positive influence and role models, and one in particular was her, who I know today as a woman who adopted. She was a foster. Mm-hmm. Okay, so this is how fucked up this young lady was at the time. It was around that same time, right?
Between 13 and 16. Yeah.
Between 13 and 16, this woman came in and literally chose her.
Mm-hmm. She came to the foster home. She was what they would have as sponsors, like people that would take kids off for the weekend, spend time with them, also buy them things that they might need. Mm-hmm. She ended up going through,
people that need that tax write-off.
Mm-hmm. For her, it was so she had gone through some things, and she was looking to foster a kid or sponsor a kid. So she came to the group home, and we have different cottages by age set up. So you have younger kids, and then you have the teen kids. I was a teenager. Big chip on my shoulder, hands crossed, didn't want to deal with the shit, whatever. We got some new person coming in, wanting to take some kid, to their house. And she chose me. And it was weird because the whole time I didn't talk. I was just like, hey, with my hands crossed. And she literally pointed me out and was like, I want that one. And
are y'all literally like sitting around and she's walking around just like window shopping for children?
No, like
it was a lineup like at the
no.
the Bunny Ranch.
Like they would come for the day.
I want to take that one, the little short redheaded girl over there.
They would like come. She was married at the time, so her and her husband came for the day and spent time at all different other cottages, getting to know all the kids, talking to them. They even had lunch with us and stuff like that. And then it was kind of like they did it. It wasn't so much like she pointed me out, but she kind of did. Like she picked me out of all the kids and it ended up telling the director, okay, this is who we want to sponsor. And it was like, are you sure? And she was like, yeah. And they have to tell her a little bit about your background. Like, she's a young girl, chip on her shoulder. And she was like, yeah. She was like, it's okay. She was also in the military. She was in the Navy. So it started out like she would just come pick me up and we'd go have dinner or lunch together. And then it was where she would come and pick me up and I would go to her house for the night, spend the night, and then it was the weekend. And then she eventually asked if she could be my foster mom, like go through foster care, through the classes and stuff, and I would come and live at her house permanently. And I said, okay, yeah. Still very, standoffish.
You had opened up a little bit at this point.
A little bit, yeah. I had learned to trust her a little bit, but it had taken a long time. Like when I got to their family, and they're very huggy people, and I was like standing there like a stiff child would, like he's scared to death. I'm like, what is going on? Like, what is this? I didn't know what kind of affection that was. Like that wasn't part of our household. So it was a little weird, but I got used to it. I got a little comfortable, and at the same time, though, I was dealing with being a teenage girl with hormones, so I was going through my own shit, so sometimes I'm a very stubborn person, and when I was younger, if I didn't get my way, then the hell with you, bye, see you later. So one day I got in trouble at her house, and I got put on restriction, and because I didn't like that, I chose to go back to foster care.
Did you hear that?
Mm-hmm.
So she had a decent human being adopt her, take her to her house
For 3 years.
For 3 years.
For 3 years with her.
When you ask,
I lived with her for about a year. So
okay,
what made that decision for you?
I got in trouble.
How? That's what I was asking. How did you get in trouble?
I got suspended from school, I think, or made a bad grade, and I got punished like any other normal kid would. You get a failing grade, or you get in trouble at school, you get punished at home. To me, I didn't know that, because we didn't get punished at home. We got our ass beat. Most of the time, it wasn't because something we did. It was because she was high on whatever, or having a bad day, she would beat our ass. So to actually get in trouble for something that you did wrong, you have to understand, I was also 13, taken away from my family. No aunts or uncles or anybody cared enough about us to come get us. So I hated the world. I had a big chip on my shoulder. So when I didn't get my way, fuck you, I'm out. And that's what it was. It was pretty much, I got in trouble. I don't want to face the consequences, so just send me back to foster care. I literally packed up my shit, called the group home at Baptist, because it was all through them. And I was like, come get me. So they brought a van out with all the girls, and the girls kept telling me, you're a freaking idiot. What are you doing? And even do you really want to do this? And at that time, I was so angry because I got in trouble. I was angry because I got punished, that I was like, yeah, sure, I want to go back home. And that was the end of the discussion. And I went back.
Hear that? She wants to go back home.
Yeah.
You didn't consider that woman's house your home? Being there for so long? I
did, but not at that time. I was pissed. So I want to go back to foster care. And that's exactly what I did at 16. And at 17, I got emancipated. So
and listen, that person that she's talking about, where she says, okay, I don't like this. Right. Fuck you, I'm out. Mm-hmm. She is still like that. This is not the type of woman that I could in a fight say, pack your shit, get the fuck out. Because she would pack her shit and get out. So
I've done it.
So understand this.
We've had fights.
This is little. So listen.
I've literally packed all my shit in my car and drove around for a couple hours and was like, "What the hell am I doing? I'm not a kid. I have to I'm on grown folk shit now. So I gotta man up and go back. So I would have to bring all my shit back inside, unpack every fucking thing, and if I couldn't fit my car, it didn't go with me. So. Yeah.
But we're talking about
shoes. That's it.
We're talking about a normal couples argument.
A little tiny, stupid.
Where I said, well, listen, then pack your shit and get out.
And I said, you got it. Peace.
So I don't do that. I don't say that to her. She is not the type of person. Now she'll deny it today because we're married, but she is not the type of person that will beg to stay or beg you to stay. Right. I honestly believe that she would not even fight for our marriage. I believe that if she got it in her head that she was done and she's out, that she would be done and she's out.
She's a survivor, man. She's
But listen,
she ain't tied down to nothing. She's a free spirit.
Yeah. So, but listen, so
born for running, baby. Born for running.
But the point for me in this whole episode was to now talk about what all that did to her and who she is today. So real quick before you start that, though, I want to mention that you eventually you are a proud veteran of the military of this great United States. At what point in your life did you enlist in the military, and what led to that? I want to know that first.
9/11. I was.
How old were you?
25. Yeah, 25.
How long did you serve?
I was in college. I had taken my GED and passed, so I wanted to do something with my life. So I started college to be a cop, and 9/11 happened, and I was in college, and we got sent home. Everybody was like, "Go, you have to go home. This is what happened." So I got home, and as I got home and opened the front door, the second plane was hitting. My foster mom is military, so I grew up in that kind of a little bit for a few years. My grandfather was also Navy. So I grew up on the streets. I know what hard is.
Right.
I'm also very patriotic. I love my country. I love that I was born here. I wouldn't change a damn thing about my life, even if it has been hard. I wouldn't change one thing because I wouldn't be the person I am today.
Absolutely.
So it was my duty. It was my duty to do something good and positive for not just myself, but for my country. So it was not a... And also I joined the military. I have a sister that has 4 kids. I have a brother that has 4 kids, but my sister mostly, I love her to death, but she's had a hard life, not by drugs. She's a good mom. But just by simple choices, making the wrong choice at the wrong time in her life, kind of thing. So she's, had a lot. So for me, going into the military, I could support my family better, and she is my family, and her kids are my family. So that was another thing. I get benefits. I get to do something and be somebody. And it was hard. Like my first week in basic training, I cried like a bitch. I cried the whole week. I was like, I've lived on the streets. I've lived in crazy foster homes that are crazy. And here I am, 25 years old, crying because I got somebody yelling at me. Because I knew that I could not react the way I wanted to react. So right. To keep those emotions in and change who I was, because I completely changed when I got in the military. I became a whole different person, also to add to the person that I already was. Right. So it was a little bit of a shock to me. And also it was, can I really do this? Can I? Because you got to think. I didn't grow up with, you're going to be somebody, you're a smart person, you're a beautiful young lady, you can be any. I didn't grow up with any of that. I grew up with, you're going to be just like your mom when you grow up, you're going to amount to shit when you grow up, you're never going to do anything when you grow up. That's stuff that I grew up with. So for me, it was a challenge for myself to see if I could do this, and I did it. And I don't talk about the military. I served my country. I did what I was supposed to do. There was some bad things that happened to me while I was in the military, but I wouldn't change it. I did my service. I did what I was supposed to do. The only regret I have was that I didn't suck it up more and do my 20. Because I know a lot of people I met a lot of great people. I lost a lot of great friends. I have a lot of friends that deal with all kind of stuff daily because they did more than 4 years.
Right.
I don't cry about things.
No, this isn't a crying type of woman here.
I just do what I got to do.
but I don't want to get too far off track. I want to talk about who you are as an adult now, as a result of your childhood, your mom, the drugs, the verbal, emotional, sexual abuse. So, as her husband, her past hinders our relationship at times. Like, one is she was not able to be a child, therefore she doesn't know what child behavior is. I'm a divorced dad, so she was married into my family with kids, and it was hard for her to
like I don't get dirty rooms.
She don't know how to be a kid,
Like,
so
I don't get,
she gets upset when kids
yeah.
do kid shit. You know what I mean?
So it's been a learning process.
But so take that for example. Here's a grown woman who skipped her entire childhood.
I've always been an adult. I didn't have a choice.
So when I first met her, I went through the prison system, and I'd consider myself to be a survivalist. So when I'm in public, I conduct myself in a way. I sit in spots strategically for my survival, for my safety, whatever. So when her and I first got together, we went to our first restaurant. We both go for the same chair. And I'm like, wait a minute, no, this is my chair. I had to sit here. And she was like, no, this is my chair. I have to sit here. So her childhood is what made her who she is today. Some good and some bad. But the main reason why I wanted her here today and for this interview to happen is because she has made this comment several times, and I think it's an important comment. And anybody out there that's listening to us right now that's going through anything that you've heard here today, know somebody that's going through it, if you've already went through it and you're on the ass end of it or whatever the case is, she always says, don't let your past dictate your future. So I know a few people who lived in a similar situation as Jackie has, and they are still, as adults, a product of the state. It's now an excuse. Well, my childhood was bad.
Yeah.
I was raped when I was a kid. I was homeless when I was a kid. And that's why I'm on food stamps. And that's why I'm on HUD housing. You know what I mean?
And listen to me. I'm not here to knock anybody because I'm not one to judge anyone because I don't want to be judged, because I will one day have to stand and be judged. And hopefully that's the only day I get judged, so I don't judge anyone. But I will tell you this. I have friends because of them being in the system. They're still in the system. Some of them have no choice because they can't cope. They can't deal with doing things on their own. And that's their choice. My choice was not to be like that. I've always told myself, I can be anybody I want to be. I can do anything I want to do, as long as I take everything that everyone says negative to me and I use it to drive me more. So when people told me I wasn't going to amount to nothing, or that I couldn't graduate school, or I couldn't graduate college, I did all that stuff, not just for myself, but to say, fuck you, I did it anyways. I took my GED, passed it the first time. I went to college, I graduated with a 3.56. I served my country.
Honorable discharge.
I got an honorable discharge. I am a God-fearing woman. I love my family. I love my friends. And
she has a career.
I have a career. I am looking to go back to school because eventually, for me, my ultimate goal is to get my master's. I don't care if I'm 60 fucking years old. I want my master's, and I'm gonna have it. And I love it when people tell me no, because it just makes me want to do better for myself. I have 3 daughters now, and to me, they're not stepdaughters. They're not my kids. They are my kids, and I want them to not have to go through the things I went to, but be as strong as I am, to be able to do everything she wants to do and do it knowing that she can do it. And
that's
that
mental toughness. You have
yes.
to go through it in order to have that, though.
And if you want to use your past as an excuse to not do anything with your life, then that's your choice. But for me, it's not an option. So, and I have a nephew that was raised in the ghetto, that
lived off the state.
But every time, his mother and me always told him, you can be whatever you want to be. This boy put himself through college. He did everything that he needed to do, graduated with honors, got a full ride to FSU, and he's now
full ride.
And he is going for his PhD, and PhD, and to be a PA actually, and he is doing his internship right now in Tampa, and he is the most brilliantest kid ever. Brilliantest.
Wow. You learned that in foster care?
Yep, sure did.
That's a new one.
That's that foster care education right here.
That's hooked on phonics, and it didn't work for me. But he knows that if you want something in life, you have to work hard.
Right.
As anybody, if you want something good out of life, you got to bust your ass for it. So that's what that's what I do, and I will not allow my past, negative or good, to predict who I'm gonna be. Nobody has the right to tell me who I can be or who I can't be. I can do anything I want to and anything I set my mind to.
Yeah.
So, well, let me ask you a couple questions. Yes or no questions, okay? Now, I'm talking about, well, you ever been to a sleepover?
No.
Has anybody been to your house for a sleepover?
No.
Did you lose your virginity to a boyfriend?
No.
How old were you, do you think, when you first saw... Have you ever seen somebody shoot heroin?
No.
Have you ever seen somebody smoke crack?
Yes.
Other than your mom?
Yes.
I mean, how old do you think you were when you saw somebody other than your mom smoking crack?
Probably about 7 or 8. There was a house full of people. But
just a crack party?
also seeing people.
Just a crack party?
Yep. They would all come to the house. I've also seen them have Quaalude parties, Valium parties, weed parties, drink till I've seen them fight out in the front yard, in the house, through the house. I've had the house set on fire and we've had to jump out of the damn window.
You said Quaalude parties? That's not much of a party if you're taking Quaalude.
Yeah, that's back in the early 80s when those things. So, I mean...
People that take Quaaludes don't party. They fucking sleep unless they're fighting.
Yeah.
Not when they're doing it with uppers, too.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I've seen it. I've lived it. And...
How old do you, as far back as you can remember, how old were you when you had your first real deal boyfriend?
I don't think I ever had a real boyfriend until I got older.
So, at any point in time, this being the normalcy for you growing up, and this is a normal thing to see drugs, to know what they look like, and all that. At any point between 10 and 17, we'll give it that timeline. Did you ever partake in any of these drugs yourself?
I have. I'm an advocate pot smoker. I think it helps. I have tried coke, and
at what age?
Probably. I think coke was more when I got older. I think when I was in my 20s, I tried coke. But weed, I've always smoked. I think the first time I ever got high, I think we stole a joint from my dad's little thing, and me and my brother got high, out in the woods,
At what age?
Maybe 7 or 8,
Good.
I mean, you steal a cigarette. They would have joints rolled from the night before, where they all passed out in the living room, and we'd just be like, "Oh, what's this? Take it." You take it and you go light it up, and just like we would steal their cigarettes, or your dad would hand you a stick, go light this off the stove, don't puff on it, just stick it there until it starts burning, or put it in the toaster. And of course, we always kind of,
Yeah.
Have you ever bought drugs for your mom?
Yes.
Okay, explain that. Y'all got in the car and went to the dope house?
As I got older, especially into my teens, when I would run away a lot, I would go to Springfield and I would find out wherever she was, and she would be like, "Can I have $10?" And I'm like, "You getting high with it?" She was like, she was always honest, yeah. So I would give her $10. She would run down the street, get her little $10 worth of piece, and come back. And before she started it, she would say goodbye and "I love you," and "Okay, I'm going to get high. See you later."
So why would you give her money knowing that she's going to buy drugs with it?
Because she's my mom. I didn't judge her.
That's cool, weird.
Not my
all at the same time.
That's unconditional love, man.
Not my place to judge her. Like I said.
Not to judge her, but to
She asked for it. She's my mom. You need $10? Sure, if I had it. I mean, I've always worked. So.
Where is your mother now?
She lives in Orlando.
batshit crazy.
Do you have contact with her at all?
No, I don't really, per se.
Well, that happened
and that's
recently.
Just recently.
Now, when I first met her and I found out about all this, I've seen this woman. This woman has hugged my neck before. I have a hard time with it because, she hasn't divulged all the information. We're keeping it PG. She's keeping some shit to herself.
Of course.
But I know everything.
Right.
So for me, I have a hard time having a relationship with her just as a human being. Her and I have gotten into arguments. And healthy arguments.
And
moral arguments here? What are we talking about? Morals or just what?
Not like, I love this woman. I have a hard time watching her have a relationship with her mom because of all the shit that her mom put her through. Right. What her mom did affects my marriage sometimes. That bothers me. So when she comes over for Christmas dinner or a wedding or whatever, I have to put on this fake,
Yeah.
But just like I tell him, it's not your place to judge her. It's not it's you. Absolutely. No one can do that. No one. She lived a lifestyle. She still lives the same lifestyle. She
still smoking crack.
She still gets high.
At how old?
65.
Still smoking crack at 65 years old.
But that's her life. I choose to not be a part of that anymore because it's negative, and I don't want negative in my life. So I choose not to be a part of that anymore. So I had to. Sometimes you have to cut even family out of your life and just keep moving forward.
But where's the anger? Where's that woman is like?
If
have you ever been that person?
And yeah, I for a long time, especially as a young adult, I had a lot of anger. But at some point, you have to reach in your life and you have to realize that if I choose to be angry my whole life, where the hell is that going to lead me?
Yeah, but have you ever had a chance to say, you know what? Fuck you, Mom.
Yeah,
that was fucked up what you did, Mom.
At 17.
Like, did you lay it out there on the line, all the shit that you did, and you weren't there?
She cried. I felt bad that I made her cry in front of all these people, but I let her have it at 17.
Oh, this was at the shelter.
At the shelter. So I said my piece. I said what I had to say. She didn't like it, but I did what I was supposed to, and I let it all go because.
Well, give us a summary on what you said to her.
You're not allowed to be a mom. You were never a mom. You can't be one now. I will never forget what has happened to us because you chose to live your life and forget that you had kids, that you gave up on us, that you never showed us. I was not kind. And
you were not kind? Oh, no, to her?
Yeah, I was not kind to her feelings because her feelings didn't matter to me. But at the same time, you have to come to a point in your life where you say, I have to break this cycle. If I don't break this cycle, then I'm just going to keep doing it. It's going to keep continuing on to my kids, to their kids, to their kids. So,
but where's the closure is what I'm trying to get to.
Yeah, that was my question. Where does all the hate and the animosity and the confusion and all, where do you put all that? Where does all that go? How do you channel all that?
She keeps it inside.
I deal with it on a daily basis.
So there's times where
I'm not a
she does not show me physical.
I'm not an affectionate person because I don't know how to be affectionate. It's very hard for me. It's very hard for me to, if you break my trust, it's very hard to gain it back, if ever. I am very stubborn. If I believe in something and I think it's right, then it's either my way or the highway.
I mean, I'm not trying to peel you back and expose layers or anything, but why not let your husband help you carry that burden?
I do. We do.
He does.
We talk about it.
He has, and the last 6 years, he's helped me deal with a lot. I'm a very, I'm a very affectionate, loving person, caring person. So he has taught me a lot of things. And also, my foster mom is still in my life. Even though I walked out of her and we didn't speak for 20-something years, wow. I was fortunate enough that God allowed our paths to cross again at an age where I was mature enough to look back and say, I'm sorry that I walked out on you. And just like she told me, I had to let you go so you could grow up. And that's exactly.
This is the lady I met in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You did meet her. Yes. That's right. Matter of fact, you also met
my real mom.
She was at the wedding also.
She had
the blue dress on with the glasses.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of things that I have to deal with on a daily basis that I have to remind myself, okay, I have a husband that loves me and is always going to be there for me. And sometimes that's a very scary thing because am I going to do something wrong where he's going to leave? Or am I not going to do something right and he's not going to love me anymore? Like, those are constant things going on in my head.
It's a daily fear that I'm going to leave her.
A daily. Don't lie. Is he going to lie to me? Like everybody else has.
No, wait a minute. No, you've lied. You've hid money.
Oh, yeah. But again, it's like I always like, do I have a backup plan in case he leaves me? And I'm not, don't get it twisted. Like, I don't need a man in my life. I do very well by myself. But
you better tread lightly, fool.
It's
Yo, she has
hard.
kicked me out of the way of working on her car.
Like, I've always had to do everything myself. Like, I'm a very strong, independent woman. Like, I know how to change my own oil.
When I met her, she was making her own pasta sauce. Scratch. Homemade type shit.
Hell yeah.
So
It wasn't very good.
he doesn't have a good taste palate.
I'm used to that shit in a jar.
Yeah.
But
So where does that leave you at now, mentally? I mean, like, as far as
she's all fucked up. She's batshit crazy too.
I mean, like, I'm talking about.
For me, it's I'm a work in progress daily.
Listen, she is a type of person now to where she never stops.
Oh no.
Meaning, it almost seems like she keeps herself busy enough to where she's not left to her thoughts.
Yeah. I have OCD.
She has OCD.
Very bad. I clean.
Trust issues, love issues, physical affection issues.
And he still married me, so I gotta be doing something right. But I do, and I don't deny any of it. Sometimes it's hard to talk about. He likes to communicate. I'm more of a shut down kind of person. Holy shit! I don't do conflict at all, because I was raised in so much conflict that now it's like, you raise your voice even just out of excitement, I shut down. Like, I don't know how to handle it. The affectionate thing, like, I'm not a huggy. The way I show him love is I cook, I clean, I take care of the house, I do what I need to do.
All the shit that I can do on my own
by himself, but that's how I show love. And we get into arguments about it because he is an affectionate person and I'm not. Sometimes I have to take a step back and I don't say I'm sorry. Even if I'm wrong, I don't say I'm sorry.
She has never said I'm sorry to me, ever.
I have.
No.
Yes, I have. The other day I came around and said I was sorry when I made that comment.
Yeah.
I have. But it takes a lot. And that's 6 years. And I think I maybe have said sorry twice to him. It's very hard because I'm just not that type of person.
Me, I say sorry, even if I'm not sorry, just to diffuse the damn situation.
But sometimes it's hard, you know. I can be very difficult, and I know that, and it takes a strong person to be able to handle that. And I'll tell you firsthand, I'm fucked up, but at the same time, I have enough wits about myself, and I'm determined that I strive every day to be a great person. So
do you think that if you So do you think that if you were raised in a normal household, white picket fence and little puppy and normal childhood,
I'd have different problems?
Well, my question was, do you think that you would have turned out the same way?
No.
As far as determination and the willingness to survive and all that kind of stuff.
Personally, I can't answer that because I don't know. I know friends that had good families that had both mom and dad, and they turned out as more fucked up than I am.
Right.
So, I mean, every person is different. Every person has to reach a point in their life where they decide that if there's something in their life they don't like, they either change it, make it better, or don't change it and make it worse.
Yeah, but so who taught you about tampons and feminine hygiene?
Myself.
So you didn't even have anybody there to teach you anything like that.
Mm.
So was your first sexual experience a bad, one of those deals?
Yes.
Did you ever tell anybody about that?
I was 5 when I was molested. I was...
Wait. Without divulging too much information, family friend?
Yes. Family friend.
A friend of the family?
Yes.
Not a drug addict or nothing like that?
No. So, and I told. It took a while, but I got the courage and I told. And,
At 5 you told?
Mm-hmm. So,
okay, and then later on, at what age?
I was raped. I've been raped twice. Once at... I think I was maybe 12, 13. And then again when I was 16, 17.
By who?
Guys.
Were like in like foster care?
The 12, when I was between 12 and 13, it was a foster home.
A kid?
Yeah, another kid.
Like a teenager?
Mm-hmm. So
raped how old?
I was 12.
And he was how old, you think?
Maybe he was 16, 15, 16. I'm not sure.
Did you say anything?
No, I left. I left that night. I never went back there. I never said anything to nobody, just left.
So when your caseworker called up to you and asked why are you out here?
I didn't like it there.
That was your answer?
Mm-hmm.
So how do you deal with being raped?
What can I do about that? I can't change that. That it wasn't my fault. I mean, what am I going to do? Feel sorry for myself?
But there's got to be a time in which
For me, it was it just shuts off. It happened. It went, and I don't discuss it. I don't talk about it. I don't. It happened. What can I do?
Do you think it desensitized you?
Maybe a little bit.
Okay, hold on. I'm going to go off in a different direction. I'm just trying to wrap my head around all this. The woman that I know is a sexual person. Mm-hmm. Who has a healthy sexual appetite. Mm-hmm. So did that not play any role in who you are as an adult?
No.
See, this is why this is interesting to me. Some people, it ruins their whole life.
Absolutely.
And it could have for me.
So what makes you different?
I don't know. I just my mindset.
Strong will and a strong mind.
I refuse to let that time and place affect how or what I'm gonna do in my life. I didn't choose to do that. It wasn't my fault. What am I going to do? Be angry at the whole fucking world because that happened to me? It hasn't just happened to me. It happens to millions of people, guys and girls. I know guys that have been raped at foster homes. I know, it is what it is. What are you going to do? You get your shit together. You do what you got to do, and you survive.
Okay, so let's address the elephant in the room. Being raped at that age, it would seem like there would be some physical long-term effects of something like that. Mm-hmm. Now, I'm going to divulge some information, but she is unable to have kids.
Because of that.
Well, I mean, we don't know for sure, but I mean, you'd think at that age to be penetrated, if you will, in that manner, there's got to be some physical.
I'm sure there was, but again, I guess I have just realized.
So wait a minute, was that your virginity?
Yes.
So there was blood, I'm assuming? Mm-hmm. So you just left? I mean, were you able to take a shower?
No. Get my damn clothes on and get the hell out of there. Don't let it happen again.
Okay, but again, I'm sure you bled.
Go get your clothes on and get the fuck out of there. Deal with other shit later. It's... Again, I am the oldest. My only job was to stay alive, to take care of my brother and sister. Whatever happened to me just happened. It was just what life handed me. I'm not going to feel sorry for myself. I'm not going to pity myself. I'm not going to not be the person I am. I had a brother and sister, and they were my world. And you do whatever you have to do, because if I crack, guess what? They crack. And I'd be damned if I allowed that to happen.
Wow.
It's not a choice. I didn't have a choice. The choice was made for me at 10 when I got taken away.
Well, I mean, yeah, but you kind of did have a choice. You could have cracked.
I could have.
Or you could have, like you said.
Stayed at piece of shit homes that didn't give a shit about me. I could have not. I didn't have to sleep up under a bridge. I didn't have to sleep in bathrooms. But also, I'm not a stupid, naive girl either. But one thing my mom did teach me, that is the most street woman I know. She can survive anything. And I guess I got my meanness from her, because I'd be damned if I allow myself to fall. And if I do fall, I get myself right back up and I try again. And I continue. It was not an option for me. I didn't have a choice.
And to give you an idea on the living arrangements that her mother was in, when I met her 6 years ago, we pulled into this place, and at the time I had a nice watch on. I had my bracelet on, a nice bracelet. I think I had a chain or something on. As soon as we pulled into that motherfucker, I started taking all my shit off and putting it in my damn pocket. I was like, nope, not today. You ain't getting me. But it's weird. Like, my life is nowhere near hers, but a lot of it is. Like the street, now all mine was self-inflicted. I had great parents. I just went through, a bunch of rebellious shit, but it's weird that, in a weird way, her past is why I'm here. Like, who she is as a person, because of all that, is one of the reasons why I'm with her.
Absolutely. People are put together for a reason, man. I absolutely believe that.
Yeah.
He's the only one that can handle me. I don't think nobody else can. And trust me, I've been married twice before him, and neither one of them could deal with it. Their families couldn't deal with it. They couldn't deal with it as individuals. And
but what's weird is that I joke that she's crazy and and all that shit, but this is a pretty well put together woman for somebody who has been put through all that shit. It surprises me sometimes when, because there's times where I'll just watch her doing her thing, and I think about shit that she's been through, and I'm like, wow, as a guy, it seems like it would be rough to live that life. So I can only imagine, that's the old-fashioned chauvinist guy in me, you know what I mean? Here I'm thinking this poor chick, you know what I mean? But the reality of it is that she was a badass chick that fucking grabbed life by the fucking horns and rode the shit out of it.
Yeah. There was plenty of times, and trust me, I fought a lot. Sometimes I didn't have a choice but
like
to
fist fight.
Oh yeah, I've been jumped. I've been put in the hospital. I've been jumped by 6 people at one time. But again,
well, you grew up in a predominantly black neighborhood.
Yes.
Were you ever the white girl and got beat up for being the white girl?
No. Mm-mm.
You were accepted.
Mm-hmm.
So here's a misconception.
Because I can hang with the best of them. I'm not scared. Your skin tone has nothing to do with if you put yourself in a position where you have to defend yourself. I don't care who you are.
Yeah.
I'm standing up for my fucking self. And I was always taught that.
Well, that's a big misconception that white folks can't go to the hood or whatever. White folks can't be,
The neighborhood I grew up in, I was the minority.
Yeah. What I'm saying is that the hood is for everybody.
Oh, yeah. Of course.
Even
some of your richest motherfuckers still live in the hood.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So, I mean, you just, like I said, I grew up in that neighborhood, and that neighborhood didn't scare me. Now, do I go down there today? I'm not fucking stupid. not without a loaded pistol. So.
You ever see anybody like that from your past?
Yeah. I have, matter of fact, a good friend of ours that we grew up with just passed away on Christmas Eve from cancer, but he grew up in that same neighborhood.
Don't you know people that from foster care?
Oh, I've seen people from foster care being in shopping centers. We also.
Has anybody recognized you and come up and talk to you?
Yeah, and because now social media is so open that a lot of us stay in touch with each other, because kids that grow up in foster care have a unique bond.
Yeah. She knows this guy. I don't mean to cut you off, but Red, she knows this guy. I was introduced to him. His name's Ofe.
Uh-huh.
This guy is an illegal immigrant that came over on a freight.
Oh no, Haftum.
What is it?
Haftum.
Haftum?
Mm-hmm.
From where?
He's from Africa. He's from Ethiopia.
Dude came over on a boat.
Mm-hmm. And was shot when he arrived.
And was shot at the port.
At the port, they shot him, and there were 7 of them, and they left Africa because they were at the age where it was either join the militia in Africa or be killed, and so their parents smuggled them on a boat.
The shipping containers. You know what I'm talking about?
There were 7 of them, and one of them got shot when they arrived at port because they didn't know that they were kids, but one of them ended up being shot. He survived, and they grew up in the same group home I did when
So
I
they
was
put them in
13.
foster care.
Mm-hmm. Because they had no parents here. And they became legal Americans. They got their
I was getting ready to ask him.
Yeah.
No,
I just outed his ass.
Yeah.
ICE is coming to get him.
I know he's illegal, and I'm telling on him. Here he is. Here's his name and everything.
Yeah.
The state took over, and they became legal. They became legal immigrants. They went through the whole process. They got their citizenship, and one of them that I stay in touch with, Haftum, has a beautiful family. Has a great success. So it's all a matter of what you want to do with your life. You
either sulk in misery
or you arise above it.
Yeah, make no mistake, children, you are in control of your destiny.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And it doesn't matter what lifestyle you were raised in. What matters is the lifestyle that you are living in.
Absolutely.
Now.
Absolutely.
Well, I don't want to drag this on. This was important to me. I'd like to think it was important to her. But I want to make this clear that this was not done for a pity party or anything like that. It was to raise awareness to not only homelessness, but also the homeless youth, and open up your eyes and do your research on the system. There's a lot of good in the system, but there's also a lot of bad in the system. So when you're out fucking and not using protection or whatever, and you think, well, I'm just going to put them up for adoption or whatever, or, you know, you can't have kids, you know, there is foster care. These kids need an out. They need for people to show that they're not forgotten. And also, you think your life's fucking bad? You know, find people that have stories like this.
There's a lot more people that had it worse than I did, so I'm just one little pebble in a river.
And that's coming from somebody who was molested and raped and homeless, and you were born addicted to drugs.
Yep. Spent the first 6 months of my life in the hospital in an incubator.
So that's it. We just wanted to raise awareness. I think it's an interesting story. I think that people would want to hear the story. So if you heard the story, feel free to comment on our social media platforms. Give us some input. Tell us a story. You know, anything like that.
Jackie, I want to thank you for coming on and telling your story. That was amazing.
You're welcome. Thanks for listening.
And I'm sure it was hard, so we appreciate it.
But also, remember this. If you don't take anything from this, you are not a product of where you come from. If you choose to make a difference, you can make that difference. But you have to choose it, and nobody can choose it for you. So what doesn't kill you only makes you stronger.
And a little crazy.
And a little crazy. But everybody's a little crazy.
Mm-hmm. Well, Red, you want to tell them where they can find us for anybody that's been living on the other side of the moon that might not know where they can hear this amazing story?
Yeah, man. We're on Facebook at Paycheck and Red, Twitter at Paycheck and Red, Instagram at Paycheck and Red Podcast.
Later.
We're on YouTube.
You've been listening to the Conversations with Paycheck and Red podcast. Check out Paycheck and Red on Facebook at Paycheck and Red, Instagram at Paycheck and Red Podcast, and Twitter at Paycheck and Red. And don't forget, paycheckandred.com, where you can buy merch, you can subscribe to the podcast, and you can listen to the podcast.
The world is full of weird, strange, and the crazy. Each episode of Infominds is dedicated to dissecting every kind of killer, from the highest profile to the least known. Tune in on your favorite podcast player today, and I'd keep the lights on.
You wouldn't be safe anyway if I was married.